he's going to be 3-betting a lot of his premiums there. We're pretty deep, and he doesn't want to give the blinds a free stack. The blinds aren't really particularly short stacks, so they're not going to be squeezing 20 bigs with a wide range. I think, you know, if he did have a premium, he'd probably be 3-betting there. But if he didn't, and he did have a premium, he'd definitely be re-raising the flop. So I've pretty much counted him out of a premium there, just from saying that and the dynamics of the table. I think if he had 10s through to queens or kings there, he's definitely going to be re-raising the flop, and most probably with aces as well. So he's trying to keep the pot small. That may mean he has a 1-pair type hand, maybe an ace-high for showdown value, or a draw. The turns are 4 now, and I've just checked to him. I think he can be floating a lot of these flops, perhaps with a hand like Jack 10, open-ender, 7-6 also open-ender, 1-pairs like Ace 9, perhaps even raising the flop with that. Probably calling there with like 8-7 suited on the button, and now it's checked to him. I'm thinking, well, with a lot of hands like 1-pairs, he's probably going to try and keep the pot small. I think he's going to be betting here all of his overpairs, which we've decided he doesn't have. He's going to be betting all of his draws, and perhaps some of his nines like Ace 9, King 9, as well as his 3 of a kinds, 3s, 8s, and 4s, which is a little bit more unlikely. He does bet 64, and I think I didn't really want to check raise here and then give myself a hard decision on the river. Sorry, not give myself. I mean, if I check raise here to like 150k, I'm really inflating a pot here, and I think if he does then call, it's going to be pretty hard to make him fold on the river. So I think check calling is the best option. I'm still not convinced that he's got me beat. I mean, there's a lot of hands that you could be calling with on the flop, like Queen Jack and Jack 10, 10-7, 7-6, Jack 7, maybe a worse flush draw. I think all of his hands like pocket deuces and an ace high, I think he's just going to be checking back the turn with a bit of showdown value. I don't think he's going to be barren. He's not sort of player to be barren in the turn there with his weaker holdings and stuff that can go to showdown against me. So we pretty much got him on a 9 or nothing at this stage, which makes our hand okay to check call, because not only have we got a flush draw, also got decent showdown value. The turn now's come, the river's come an 8, sorry, and the pot's 275,000. It's difficult for me. I guess when I check called there, I didn't have much for hand, so I perhaps was looking to check call the rivers, either make my hand, or perhaps even like check raise bluff for bluff and value as well. I think that can, if he bet sort of 100k here with a weak 9, I think I could probably go ahead and represent an 8. As I said, I really thought if he's calling the flop with an 8, I really thought he was probably just going to be checking back the turn. So I've always got all 8s and overpairs out of his range. I think also with anything with showdown value on the turn, he would have just given up. Not given up, so I think he just would have wanted to see a river and get to showdown with any sort of hand like Ace Jack or pocket pairs like deuces and 5s. I don't think he's going to try and protect it, because at the end of the day it's a pretty dry board. So at the end of the day, if he checks this river, I'm expecting him to check back with a lot of ace high hands and expecting him to be betting a lot of his bluffs and his 9s. We're going to have a look at what happens. He's bet 124k. I said, he can occasionally have a 9. I think he might have raised the flop with a 9 though. And I think there's just so many bluff hands that he beats. And the good thing about this situation is that while I've only got king high, I don't think he's ever bluffing with ace high. So I think I'm almost, if he's bluffing, you know, the very top of his bluff range, maybe king queen, king jack. So it's not as though he's going to be betting sort of 1-pair hands and making hero call, and he's actually taking sick value from it. I think more of the time he's going to have like queen jack, jack 10, that sort of hand flatting from the button. For the reasons discussed, I don't think he's got an 8. I think he can have a 9, sort of pocket 3s, pocket 4s, maybe even pocket 8s. but I think a lot of the time it is going to be a complete airball. He's giving me a good price in the call then. I'm getting 125k to put into 400. I don't really like check raising here, although I probably should have thought about it again. If I shouldn't have check raised the turn, I probably should have check raised his river if I don't think he's got an 8 looking back now. But at the same time, I thought there's no point of check raising, because didn't think I was going to get him off too many hands of his value range, and I thought I was ahead of most of his bluff range. So decided to go and check call here and make a hero call, and it's gone horribly wrong. I'm pretty sure he had the best hand in his bluff range there with King Queen. I think I could have played the hand better by check raising the turn or the river, and put, and you know, looking back now, I don't think the call's particularly bad. He sort of said in the chat, like, what the fuck are you doing, mate? How do you make that call? And I think, well, it's actually a bit of a soul read. I just think I've got a little bit unlucky there that you've shown up with the very top of your bluff range, because you're never betting there with ace high. That hand didn't put me in a good stead for the rest of the tournament, unfortunately. Okay, so he shoves, then it goes ace jack against his king, and now we're down to 4-handed. Things are changing very quickly. Something must have happened here. 2-pack raises again, he gets shoved on. King's holding, that's 2 casualties in 2 hands. Right, so I'm going to replay this hand again. Unfortunately, it is my last, as you can see. I've got King Queen on the button. I'm the short stack at the table. Guaranteed top 3 place now, which is always nice in a tournament. You always want to win it, but obviously if you come second or third, you're always going to be left a little bit disappointed. But a third or second place finish is still a very good bankroll booster, and it's much less painful than coming 9th or 10th in the tournament. I've raised the button. He's 3-bet me, quite a small 3-bet, I think. At this point in the tournament, probably shouldn't have been a little bit obvious that this type of player wasn't good enough to be 3-betting for that sort of size. I think if it had been your top regs, almost min 3-betting that, I think it's just because they're competent post-flop players and that they know what they're doing. Whereas I think this guy probably more screams monster than anything else. I guess at the time I was thinking, okay, he's the chip leader, he's on quite a lot of momentum, and he's 3-betting a button raise. I think looking back now, his 3-bet is really small. If he'd have made it around 60 or 65k, I'm much more comfortable with my King Queen. As it happened, I think my plan was, yes, King Queen on the button, 40 big blinds, 3-handed, not folding. While in poker it is good to make a plan, and most of the time you're going to stick with it. I think what separates the good and the very good players is then the ability to tweak the plan a little bit and say, well, you know what, like, this was a great plan. Now I've had a little bit more information, and that's completely changed how the hand's gone through. And not to be afraid to do that. I think far too many players have leaks saying, you know, I've got pocket 10s here and 40 bigs. It can never be bad to get it in. When against some players you're right, and against some players you think, well, you almost always crush with 10s here. And that sort of mentality, to be able to think a little bit outside the box, really separates the good and the great poker players. I did make a pretty big mistake this hand, but I'm sure I've learned from it. I've decided to 4-bet to about, 93,000, 95,000. Planning to call any shove from him. Obviously I'm not going to turn King Queen into a bluff here. And he flat, so I did actually make it 120k or whatever. If he didn't already scream monster with this small 3-bet, I mean, he's just flattered me out of position here for quite a large bet. If he didn't already scream monster, I'm sure the writing's on the wall now that he's got a big hand. For some reason at the time I decided that I was committed with this hand. I'd come down Jack 4-6 and I had a little bit more than a pot size bet left. I think obviously a lot of the time if he calls with the Jack, I've still got 2 overcards, and a lot of the time I can make him fold on the flop. So I did jam the flop, and what do you know, he had aces. So I think it was a fairly big mistake here, but at least I have the opportunity to go through the hand history and realise why it was. But a little bit more attention to detail the next time that I'm in that situation, and think, oh, I've got king queen on the button, I'm going to raise, and most of the time I'm probably going to be happy with getting it in. But you know, this situation has now changed. He's really representing a monster. I can't ever see him waking up with worse than king queen the way the hand's played out, so I'm going to change my plan. I'm going to fold. I think it's a very important thing to do in poker, and I think it's a lesson learned here for me. You don't always have to go with your plan, because you can really make big mistakes. As I've shown in this video, I'm very capable of playing post-flop poker, and I think probably shouldn't have given away my stack that easily there. I did go out in third place. I was quite happy with the way I played this tournament. I thought it was a very good tournament to review because there was a lot of concepts to touch on. It's quite hard to focus on the dynamics of the table because I'm only showing the hands I've played and stuff. But I hope that you enjoyed it and you learned a little bit from it. The second part of my series is going to be a slightly bigger tournament, and yeah, I'm looking forward to doing it. Okay, this is Ben Warrington, KidCardiff, signing off.